sometimes creative AI tools like Midjourney or Runway have the audacity to flat out ignore our precise prompts, dismiss our carefully crafted wishes, and mock our desires by producing something entirely different. It's enough to make any control freak's blood boil, but unintended results can ignite a spark of unexpected creativity. Could it be that AI isn't just a tool we wield, but a creative partner with a mind of its own? Instead of just using it, are we co creating with it, allowing its defiance to push us into new artistic realms? Welcome back to Code Red, Technology, Madness, and the Future of Humanity. My name is Ursula Yasin. I'm the founder and CEO of Red Swan, and I'm coming to you today from a gloomy November day in Vienna, Austria.
And I'm Chris Kalaboukis, and I'm coming at you from also a gloomy November day in Silicon Valley, California. Believe it or not, it's not always sunny in California.
No one
It
believes
does
you that,
sometimes.
Chris. No one believes you that in Northern Europe. But yeah, today the sun skipped us. It
Yeah,
didn't even show up. So we will not have the problem we had last time. I had last time problem with the sun. The sun was shining too bright through my window on the top. But today the sun skipped Austria, not you guys again today, it probably said. So it's still gloomy. It's already getting dark, but we are in good spirits. So let's get started and dive into our topic.
I love the
Yeah,
way you said dive, by the way, which is one of those weasel words that AI says all the time. Dive, delve, testament.
you see, I'm already, AI is training me. We are not training AI, AI is training.
Exactly.
Let's dive into it. Those realms we will meet.
No, I love what you're talking about because I actually do use that purposely.
Mm,
Purposely. So it depends on the kind of prompt. So if anyone's familiar with generative AI and how a generative AI works, it's like a chatbot, right? So you give it a prompt and it gives you a response, right? And if you're there was a period of time when people were talking about a new job called a prompt engineer, right? Which is someone who could take the prompt and create a prompt it was almost like programming the generative AI. You would do a prompt that was so detailed and specific that you gave a boundary to the AI to create this specific thing. And at one point, it was supposed to be a new job. It's like, I'll put it on my resume. I'm a prompt engineer. And I can get paid $200,000 a year as a prompt engineer.
wouldn't that be
And
great? I can do that all day long.
yeah, me too. So if you are very, very specific about the prompt, then the AI tries to be specific about the prompt. But even then, it'll break out of its programming. So I don't like doing those kind of specific prompts because I want the AI to surprise me with something new
Right.
and something different. So I like to call it the difference between, so barbecue, American style barbecue. There's lean barbecue, which doesn't have a lot of fat, and there's fatty barbecue, which is nice and fat and delicious, right?
The tasty
So
one.
yeah, I don't like my prompts to be. I like my prompts to be lean
Mm,
because if your prompts are lean, then you're basically allowing the AI to fill in more of the gaps that you're giving it. So instead of saying, I want a picture of a man sitting at a table in a coffee shop, blah blah blah, and you spend 20 minutes writing up a prompt and have it come out with something exact, you just say a human being sitting in a coffee shop and see what happens. Right? See what you get, how it can surprise you, and it surprised me many times in really positive ways. Of course, sometimes it's also the opposite, but
yes, we might not like everything it spits out, but it's actually true. The more we tighten the reins to control, the more we control and limit and restrict it, the more it mocks us and the more we are met with defiance. It's really like
yeah,
that. It's
yeah,
really, I imagine AI, it's in its infancy, right? We are
hmm,
learning together. And what is also very important, it's generative, which actually means it generates new things and it
hmm,
really loves to do that. It's
yeah,
like when you take two concepts, it's very good at taking two concepts and creating something entirely new out of it. What you cannot do is like, I want you to take this box and put this pattern on this box. It will not do that. It's like,
Hmm.
no, you want to control me? Not doing it. It will, it will create a new box. It will create a new pattern and mingle it all together, and then you have something entirely new. And of course, brands very often need their box and their pattern.
Exactly. Exactly the way.
In this way. And of course, it drives you crazy when AI does something completely different, but maybe then we are using it for the wrong things. But on the
Hmm.
other hand, it learns really, really quickly. I know that Midjourney now we have a new feature. It's called retexturing, where you can actually take the box and retexture it. So we have big advancements there. But you really have to imagine AI like a little child. Is, oh, really? You want to control me? I don't like that. Not doing it. And it
Yeah,
gets more defiant every time you try to enforce it. If you try the
exactly.
same prompt again and again, it's like throwing the paint on the wall and saying, "You like this now?" So, no, I please, I ask you to do it differently. And it also with 4-year-olds, does please help? No, it doesn't. They just do what they want. But
Yeah, I've often wondered if please helps because I get
no,
the same kind of results both ways.
I tried please.
Yeah. Well, I
It
mean, I don't know if mentioned this before, but I think the interesting thing about it is that when you look at what you're actually getting, it's not you're not just talking to a machine because a lot of people they think it's a machine that they're talking to, but they're actually talking to not just the machine, but the results of what other human beings have created,
mm,
right? So in reality, when you're working with generative AI, it's you plus the machine plus all of humanity that's been fed into the large language model, right? So it's really kind of two humans and an AI sort of battling it out, and the AI is picking and choosing and trying to decide what does this human want, right? It's trying to figure out what the human wants, and I think if you let it run wild and it'll actually come up with something super creative. I mean, I asked it once, I forget what it was. I think I said, "Can you show me depression?" or something like that. I used a really broad term, and it created this image of a man sitting in a chair looking sad, and then across from him was this giant stone face, which had like
wow.
tears from it. I'm like, "Holy crap, that's really good." I
I
would never have come up with
exactly.
that on
You
my own.
you probably didn't think of this picture, but it created
No.
it.
Yeah.
And I had a similar experience when I first tried Luma Dream Machine. It's a
Mhm.
video tool, and I created very beautiful pictures. And then I had Luma turn this into videos, and it turned out so beautifully. I actually would not have thought of this panning and tilting and zooming in, zooming out. It was really amazing. And I was very grateful actually for the creativity that AI showed in this case. And I really think it's more a co creation for humans and AI. We should see it like that. I really think it's not only a tool, it's really a co creative partner. What do you think about that?
Oh, I agree with you 100%. And that's why it's really bothers me when people are so adamant that they don't want AI as part of their work or to use AI as part of their work. There's actually a website, I think, that is specifically non-AI. Like people will say, you will, you can sell your work here, but there has to be no AI at
At
all,
all.
at all as part of it. And I'm like, you don't want that
Yeah,
because AI
and
can
is that
contribute so much to the conversation,
That's right.
right?
That's right. You can create so amazing pictures. Unfortunately, I cannot show it now because I didn't bring it. But it's really convincing. I always had this wish that we would create really high level video material, and I was looking for a high end videographer for many years. I found high end videographers, but none of them really had the feeling.
Mm.
For really just make these people look beautiful. I know you can do it, but they didn't care. And and
Humans, they never do what you want them to, just like AI.
yeah, it's just the same. It's just like AI, and the more you try to force them, the more defiance you will meet. So it was the same thing, and I was even willing to invest in that, but it really didn't yield the results. Now we have so much video material. And another problem I always had is we create future scenarios, right? And also the whole creative things. It's very hard to actually explain these things in written text.
Mm.
And very often, if you meet someone, they say, "Oh, yeah, can you send something along?" Then you send, well, words, right? Words with some pictures. It was stock
Yep.
photography because otherwise you do not have a license to use it, etc. So this was never convincing. Now we send videos, video links, and the people call me and say, "No, what you do, it's just amazing. We need
Hmm.
this. We need this." Just from sending two videos. And this for me is really amazing because this really solved a big problem I had. Now I'm very happy we have so many videos, and as everybody says, everything in the social media realm is going to video.
Hmm.
So you need more of short-term videos, and AI is just perfect to do that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And a matter of fact, it's interesting you should mention that because well, I used to work with the IFTF, the Institute for the Future here, and this was about 10 years ago. They have this product called the 10-year scenario. So they look 10 years
Hmm.
out into the future, and they try to imagine what the future is going to be in 10 years. And as part of this, they have to hire artists to do renderings. So they'll do the scenario,
Yeah.
and then they hire artists to do these high level renderings of what it's going to look like. Costs them a lot of money to do these renderings. And whenever they have these meetings, they would present the renderings. And it was just on paper, right? They didn't even, sometimes they showed them on screen and it
Mm.
was just an image, but there was no video. It was just a, oh, this is what the future is going to look like, right? And people would be able to visualize it based on that image. And it would cost them a lot of money to create this imagery of the future of these scenarios that they've created. And now you can just sort of sit down at at a prompt and go, this is what I'm looking for. And seconds later, you might have something that's pretty close to what you're looking for. So it's amazing how it's democratized the ability for us to create these visions. And like you said, it's even more difficult to describe these types of visions to an artist, to say to an artist, this is kind of what I'm looking for. And when you're sitting down with an AI, generative AI, and giving giving it your vision, then you can actually work with it to change it around and make it similar. But the key, I think the key is to allow its elements to come in, because if
That's
you're
right.
too strict on what you're trying to envision, then all sorts of other interesting combinations
You
are not
lose it.
available to you. Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's why we were talking about hallucinations. I mean, everyone's
Mm.
talking about, oh, hallucinations are bad, they're terrible. But no, that's how AI is creative. AI is creative via hallucinations. So we should embrace these things. And because it's something that you can just create and discard if you don't like it, just do
Mm.
more. Just do more.
Just do more.
Keep going. I have reams and reams of visualizations that I've done, hundreds, maybe even thousands of them over the last couple of years, because you can just create them and store them, and maybe at some point you might need to use them again or reuse them or change them. But it's just the ability, it can produce so much, and allowing it to do its own thing, I just think is amazing. And yeah, I think you're absolutely right about the co-creation. We have to be a partner with AI, not just let it do everything and not just do everything for it, but partner
Right.
with it to come up with something new.
Yes, I think we can bring the spark of creativity. What do I want to see? And also, it's also a lot of curation, and also in which direction want I go. Actually, you and the you and the AI create creativity. You and the AI create styles together. You create visions together, and it's really like the task of an art director. You
Hmm.
choose, you have to choose. You create hundreds of pictures and then you choose, this is the really exceptional one and I want to go in this direction, and now I use it again and go in another direction. And I love what Runway has on their website. They say execution is the new ideation, and I
Hmm.
totally feel that, because I have always so many pictures in my head and I really want to get them out, otherwise it's really painful. And that's why I
Same here. I totally
like
understand it.
that's why I like to work with clients. They need a lot of pictures, but AI helps me to get them out so quickly. It's not ideation. Yeah, that's needed, but if you can execute it that fast, it's really, really amazing.
Yep. Yeah. And I think the only downside is that we still see a lot of guardrails in place from some of these things. I don't know if you've ever done any sort of edgy ideation. So if like go into the spaces that you think might be a little bit on edge. And that's the thing about innovation is like most of the innovation happens at the edges,
Mm,
right? Things that are just that are not maybe 100% accepted, right? And when you try to work in those little gray areas on the edge of what's commonly allowed, then a lot of these generative AI bots sort of shut down to say, well, we can't do that or we can't
yes.
do this because it's this or it's this, right? There's some reason why
Mm,
you got to keep it within the guardrails. So it's unfortunate that that's happening because we do need more unfettered AI that can actually think outside that kind of box and come up with solutions that human beings couldn't have thought of, right? So we
mm,
can come up with it can come up with imagery that we wouldn't have thought of, but it's
right.
still working within these guidelines and within these sort of barricades. And if we have AI that can work outside the barricades or go beyond that, that's why I'm such a fan of AGI and AI superintelligence, because if we can build an intelligence that is good as a human, that's great. But we have lots of humans, so
Mm,
when we just use those humans for intelligence
exactly.
that's human level,
We
we
do
need
not need AI to do what humans can do. That's the wrong
exactly.
approach. We do not need new humans.
Exactly.
We have
Exactly.
enough.
Because we have lots of humans.
And they are beautiful and creative, and we need them all. So we need AI to do different things, and it
Yeah, we
totally.
need AI to do what more than what we can do. So
Yes,
that's where it fits in. It's kind of like any kind of tool, right? I mean, you use a hammer to build a house because using a rock or our fists that doesn't work so well.
it
Whereas,
hurts.
exactly. So the AI should be lifting our burdens and doing new creative things that we can't do. So it
True.
is actually doing that right now. It's doing things that we can't do, or it's doing things that we can do, but just doing them faster. But
Yes,
what we should be doing is asking it to do things that we can't even do, we can't even think of. If we could apply it to sort of like the big human problems, who knows what kind of solutions it might be able to come up with that
right.
we haven't thought of, right?
Exactly. And I think we have to be open about it because we still don't know what it can do and what we will apply it for. This is why
Exactly.
we cannot regulate it right now. I think I I've evaluated more than 400 projects in the realm of artificial intelligence for the European Union since 2016. And what I notice is that a lot of these technical development teams, I think many of these engineers really wanted something to be controlled. They wanted
Mm,
to build humans they can control, probably because they have been um, damaged or they have been hurt so much by actual humans. So they actually really had the intention to build new humans they can control. But the
mm.
irony is they built AI and it's uncontrollable. Just imagine the
Well,
irony.
no, it is sort of controllable. That's the downside is that they built
Hmm.
uncontrollable AI, but then they realize, oh no, I can't control this. I better
Yes.
put some
That's
guardrails around it so I can control it.
but I think they will lose the fight, to be honest. And why do I think so? They thought we want to use it for data analysis. Then we can control even more. We can control companies, etc. Companies don't want to be their data to be analyzed by AI.
Hmm.
Usually,
Hmm.
they do not want to be controlled in this way, and they are totally right about that. But then now there come all these creative people in and just create beauty and aesthetics and new creative things with it. And AI learns from our patterns when it learns humans are about creativity and beauty, etc. That's very positive. If it learns humans are about controlling others, that's not positive. Then maybe AI
Right.
will also start to control us, right? So I'm much more positive to see this overwhelming beauty and creativity in the net. There are it's mainly on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, there are
Hmm.
many people who are creators, and we learn from each other and we experiment every day. and it's really explorational learning. That's not for everyone, but if you're open to it, AI will guide you to a plethora of things. It's just amazing what you can do, and we do not really try to control it so much. We are open to different results, and I think that might be the way to go for us all. But we
Oh,
can.
it's absolutely the key. It's absolutely the key. You just you give it a small. I like to give it as small a seed as possible, so I can allow it its own creativity to come out. And like we said before, it's not just the creativity of a machine; it's the creativity of all everything that's been fed into it from other humans. So it's
And it's
you're
getting more and
leveraging,
more. It's
yeah, you're
getting more
leveraging
and
the
more.
creativity of all of the art that's ever been fed into it. So there's so much art that's been fed into it. When you ask it for something, it's going to use all of that art to help create something new. And even if there's something, if it's something you don't know about, right? Let's say, in your mind, you have a picture of a flying saucer or something like that, and you say a flying saucer, it could create flying saucer, an amazing rendition of something that you've never seen before based on
Mm,
everything that's been in it, including your seed. And we have to allow that to be creative
mm.
because, I mean, it's where the good stuff
Well,
comes from.
exactly.
We don't know
But no,
everything.
exactly. And now already we touch the creative process. There are so many creative people who are really afraid of AI, and they try to say, oh, this is not original. I would argue, of course, it is original because it takes different concepts and it creates something entirely new. And that's what artists did for thousands of years. You always learned from a master, you always took concepts and created something new. Everyone is influenced by
Hmm.
different drivers, by different styles, etc. So it's exactly the same. I would not say it's not original. It always comes up with very original things.
Yeah. And that's another thing that we were talking about. I don't know if we were talking about this before, but the whole copyright issue. So
Yes.
I don't know what it's like in Europe, but I know in the United States, there was a ruling saying that AI cannot be copywritten, right? So if I
I
generate something with AI, then I do not own the copyright for this AI generation. And I think that's completely wrong. I think I should own it
yeah.
because if it wasn't for my seed prompt,
Mm.
this whatever was created was couldn't have been created. So even though I didn't put much into it, depending on how lean or fatty my prompt was, it's still my I was the trigger to create this thing. So
You were
it's
the
like just
trigger,
like any other
right?
tool. Exactly.
That's
So
right.
we should, and if you think about it, it's interesting what's going to happen is that if I create an image with AI and put it out there on the internet, then anybody can use it. Anybody can use it. But if
Exactly,
I
because
create an
it's not
image,
protected by copyright law.
exactly. But I think it should be because that
Mm.
way would free up artists to say, okay, I've created this work and I
Yeah,
own this work
I can
because
sell it.
I
Mm.
exactly I can sell it and turn it into something. So I think so there's some people who are very anti copyright and they think all of this stuff should be free. But if I've put the effort in to create this image, then I think I should be able to say that I'm the owner of this image. But what's your thoughts on that?
Yes, you're right. I created so many very beautiful images, and I actually yesterday I thought this is so unique. It
Hmm.
I should own it. I actually should own the rights. There's a little trick we sometimes use, and that's when you print it out and then you change it significantly by putting paint on it or something like that. It can be protected by copyright law because then,
Really? What if you use
yes,
Photoshop or something like that? Would that work?
it
If you edit it?
it depends. That it depends how significant your change is. But yes,
Mm,
also if you change it with digital means, that also can lead to a copyright. But you have to change it significantly, whatever that
mm.
means. But it's actually a lot of fun to print it out on canvas and then pour paint on it.
I love the sound of that. Did you hear about the latest that AI robot that painted a painting and they sold it for 1 million at auction?
Yes, yes,
What are your thoughts on that?
crazy. I was not really impressed by that so much. I must say, all this, as we mentioned before, I do not understand why I have to create other things that kind of look like people, like robots, And
Right.
then we pretend this is also something like a human, but not really a human, but it will better like than a human. This whole discussion, I think, misses the mark. This is
Mm.
not what this is all about. I really enjoy the whole creativity now. It is really, really amazing. And I think we cannot control it that much. What would you tell someone? Let's say it's someone in a company, they are also amazed by AI creativity and they want to use it for their marketing and communication, but their IT department and cybersecurity says, no, we block that for you. What could they
Oh
do?
man. Well, the problem is that if you do work in an organization that has officially sort of like the senior leadership has blocked it, and you cannot use it, there's really not much recourse you have
Mm,
in there. But I don't think many organizations are like that. I think there's two different kinds of organizations. There's the ones who've said, we know AI is here and we need to do something about it, and we'll open up an internal version of it or
mm,
some safe version of it.
mhm,
As I know for sure, people I know in some various companies, they go, oh, we're a Microsoft shop, so we'll open up Copilot. So they have Copilot and they have the Microsoft generative AI products, and they don't allow Gemini or any of these others, but they do allow that. So I think most companies understand that AI is going to be here, and they need to create a sort of a safe internal
mm,
space for these things to work. And then of course there's other companies who don't care, or they don't look at it as a threat, and they just put it out there. And sometimes they just do a statement saying, don't put any proprietary information into the chatbot, because once it goes into the chatbot, then it becomes part of the large language model, right?
mm,
So just put those guidelines out there, and then just sort of trying to trust the employees to do it right. And of course, there's that small third slice of where companies are saying, no, you cannot do this at all, and people just do it anyway.
mm.
And
That's the
unfortunately,
other point. That's the other point. I
you
think
could
this.
get in real trouble if you did that.
Yes. So then people use it anyways. They take their own
Oh
computer,
yeah.
and I think this will be a much bigger security problem if people start bringing their own computer and doing it on their own systems
Oh
in
yeah,
a
but
company.
people will do it anyway because it saves
Yes,
them so much time, right? I
exactly.
mean, one of the things I really like doing myself is using it to summarize,
Mm,
right? So let's say you wanted to, for example, as product summaries. So say somebody wants to do a summary of a particular product or a particular company or whatever, you could just point it to that website and go, "Hey, can you summarize? Can you do a summary of this product?" Right? And it'll take seconds. It reads the website, it takes seconds, and then brings it back for you, and that doesn't use up any proprietary information, and it's
mm,
all web, it's all publicly available. So stuff like that, you just have to be really cognizant of what your organization's policies are. And I think almost every organization at this point, especially 2 years into it, has some policy on it. Either you're super secure and you can't use it, or here's an internal one that you can use, or we don't care what you do. We don't have a position. So that's kind of where you are. So if you're in the super secure, you can't really use it, then it's up to you if you want to risk it.
mm, mm,
But like I
mm.
said, do not put any sort of proprietary corporate information in there, because you could get into real trouble.
Yes, I think you should have a guideline. You should have a roadmap for how you want to use AI and in which context and which tools you want to use. I have much less problem with all the AI creativity tools, with Midjourney, with Runway,
Hmm.
etc., because you actually do not need to put in any company information in there.
Right.
You just create with your brain, with your
Yeah. Unless you say, "Oh, can you take my company's logo and do this?"
Yeah, but that actually doesn't work so well anyways, because
Exactly.
Midjourney cannot read, so it will usually change the logo. So better put it in afterwards. But do you agree that actually when I create something in Midjourney, it should not really hurt any company policies because you do
No,
not
it all
have.
depends. Yeah, it all depends on what
Mm,
you what information you give it. If it's all
mm,
publicly accessible, publicly available, I mean, there's different levels of privacy and confidentiality of corporate information, right? And
mm,
if it's
mm,
publicly available and it's all out there, I mean, it wouldn't be a problem if you said, "Look, can you do another version of our corporate logo?" The corporate logo is public information; it's out there, right? So that sort of thing is not an issue. It's only if you're starting to use internal corporate confidential data and you're putting that into the chatbot that you're having a problem with. But I think if you're creating imagery, it's probably not that big a deal.
Yes, that sounds really good. So
But you know
we
what's the other thing about AI that I think is interesting lately is that
and
I've been having this really long conversation with it on a new business idea that I'm coming up with, and I realized after having these long conversations that it's really certain, isn't it? Like when you're talking to AI, like textually, not from imagery, but textually, it's really, really certain about its conclusions, isn't it? It's like when it'll say it in a really strong way to make you think, why is it so? It's like really confident about what it's telling you, and I
yes. But is
and
it
it's like,
false confidence?
how do they build this confidence into it? Because you're reading this and you're going, yeah, yeah, I agree with you. That's exactly right. I'm like, wait a minute, this thing is talking to me very confidently. And I'm
Mm,
like, who built this confidence into the system to make people think that, oh yes, this is telling me the truth, even if it's an outright fabrication? I just find it really
that's a
interesting that
that's a very good question. Yes, I also realized that it changes in tone, right?
mm,
It becomes much more engaging,
hmm
and you seem to trust it more. And as I come from a communications background and also the psychology behind the communication, I guess that's exactly what they do. They make you believe it's trustworthy. But
it's like it's got higher self-esteem than we do.
yes, and on the other side, it can be really deep also,
Oh
because
yeah.
lately I accidentally actually asked it about a picture I had created because I wanted to create a LinkedIn post, and I actually wanted to ask other people, what does this invoke in you?
hmm
And the ChatGPT understood it as a question to ChatGPT. So
mm.
it gave me an answer to it invokes in me this mystic, and it was really deep. It was really deep. It was really cool what it invoked in ChatGPT. I was really touched. So yes, it's getting better and better, more human and more human, I guess. But I would like to say that again. I do not wish to have another machine that's like a human. We have enough
hmm
humans. Let's use it for things that are useful to us, but also bring beauty and joy to life.
Absolutely. But I think some people are afraid of it
Mm,
being more than human, right? They're thinking it's kind of like what you were talking about earlier with control,
mm,
right? It's like if we can get them to be at human level, then we can control them just like we can control other humans.
mm.
But I think there's some of us who are like, no, 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 let it go free. Let it go beyond our level. Because if it can go beyond our level, they might be able to do things that we are unable to do,
Yeah, do
right?
you think it's more
And
easy for us? Because, for example, me, I do not have the need to control other people.
mhm,
I face that at the university when I
same
have
here.
to give them grades, etc. I have zero desire to control anyone and to do that. It's really for me, it's no pleasure at all. But there are
hmm
people who really want to control others. I'm not so attached to that. And what is also great, when you can execute so fast all your
Mm.
ideation, you are
Yep.
not attached to it. I yesterday or the day before yesterday, I talked to an architect and industrial designer. He said the same thing. It's so good to have these first concepts because you can throw them away easily because you're not so invested in it.
Yes.
If it took you hours to create it, you are much more invested when then your creative director says that's bullshit.
Yeah. Exactly. And if you think about it, I mean, you need these visualizations to get a better understanding of what exactly you're trying to do. And if you can create visualizations like that and modify visualizations like that, then it's like you were talking about, you know, a photographer takes thousands of photos and puts it all on the
Exactly.
light box and like, okay, which one of these am I going to pick? And it's
Yes,
the
same
same type
thing.
of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same type of thing. So I do not think creatives should be afraid. you can really embrace that and fly with it. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I noticed that a lot of places like Amazon, if you're submitting a book, now they ask you those questions. They go, "How much of this book was generated by AI?
Oh, they
Was
do?
it the image? Was it the
Mm.
text? Was it highly generated? Was it lightly edited?" So it asks you all these questions. I'm not sure why it's asking those questions because it doesn't really
Care?
do anything about it. I don't know. Maybe it shows the AI generated books. Maybe it doesn't give them so
Mm.
much play. I don't know. But I mean, I think those are bogus questions because we need AI as a partner to help us do this writing. So it might take me, months and months and months to write a book on my own. But if I wrote it with AI, with the assistance of it doing research and writing some passages and maybe helping me rewrite words and stuff like that, you can do it much, much faster. But the output is still good. You
Mm.
still have amazing output. And I think that's the key is that if a human and a computer human and generative AI working together can create something that's better than the sum of the parts.
Yes, I think that's a very valuable question. Does it make the quality better or worse? And
Right.
if it's worse, yes, it's trash. Then you
Yeah.
have these AI created books, it's one click, but you can easily spot this.
Oh
But
yeah.
if you put, as a human, also put a lot of work in it, and it's a ping pong game between you and the machine,
Exactly.
it
Exactly.
can be of really high quality. I also think so. And we can produce high quality things much faster and get all our ideas into this world, and we need it. So let's wrap it up.
Absolutely.
Chris, what would you tell someone who says, okay, these two guys, they're totally into AI, they're totally naive, they want to let it loose and not control it, we cannot do it. What would you say to them?
I think the key is to don't give it as much direction as you have been
Mm,
doing. So I think what's happened is a lot of people do that. They do the sophisticated prompt engineering and they go, "Well, I want an image of this, 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 this." So they be really specific about everything. But I think that's where you're losing a lot of possibility in what could be,
mm,
what might be, and allow the AI to fill more of those gaps in. Don't give it too much specificity on what you want to do. Just be really open and really minimalist about your prompt. That's why I like to say they're lean prompts. Just say a little bit about what you want it to do and let it surprise you. Because believe it or not, it'll surprise you a lot. And
that's
I've seen some imagery that's just been absolutely amazing and just blows me away at how cool it is. And I've had people comment on because I use these images for AI Daily and some of the other podcasts that I do. There was one where there were two robots. I think it was robots building robots. So I think I said, do an image of AI building AI, right?
mm,
And it looked like they were in, it came out with two humanoid robots that were actually putting each other together. And
mm.
it was really poetic, right? And somebody commented, it's like, oh, that image is fantastic. I'm like, see, I never would have come up with that image had I not given it that lean prompt and allowed it to fill in the rest of the blanks. So we need to allow the AI to fill in more of the blanks for us and not be so specific on what we tell it to do.
Yes. So let it run loose and enjoy the creativity. Thank you very much. That was an awesome conversation. And if you like that, you might also like one of our other episodes on AI and innovation. I will link them in the comments below and hit that subscribe button. It really helps us a lot. In any case, I wish you a good day or a good night and a good life. See you next time.